up, what up, what up, what up, what up, what up, people? What's good? It's me, L Teddy 27. I am back. Another retro review. Retro review. So y'all, we are here for The Wire, season 1, episode 4 now. Slow and steady wins the pace. Watch, when we get to season 5, y'all gonna be like, wow, I remember when we were still on season 1. Yes, we're on season 1, okay? Episode 4 called Old Cases. Now, y'all, we're getting deep into the thick and the hard meat and potatoes of the rising action for this season. So, we start off with everybody trying to help Herc get a desk in the office. These clowns, okay, they got Daniels and Herc on one side pushing. They got McNulty, Sitnor, and Carver on the other side pushing. Both of them pushing the same way, wondering why they can't get it to go in the direction. Just a bunch of fuckery. Just a damn mess. It was so funny to me, and then we go to the intro. It was so hilarious, y'all. Anyway, Freeman just sitting there watching them, just laughing like I'm laughing right now, because this shit was so funny. So anyway, next we see Kima and McNulty at the bond hearings for the cats they got during the raid. So basically, they got a bunch of juvies. You know what I'm saying? And one guy who's of age, I don't remember his name. We'll just say, the dude. So, dude only had one jail cap and one vow on him. Now, they try to give him 5 years based on priors and all of that stuff. And I think even the judge was like, really? Okay, I'll take that into consideration for the bond, because he only had one vow and one jail cap on him, but they try to get him for 5 years, and then they try to talk to him and say, well, if you don't want these 5 years, you're gonna have to give up some names. They start naming off all of the big people names: Avon Barksdale, Stringer Bill, Weebay. They just start naming off names, and he like, y'all might as well go ahead and give me the years then, because I ain't giving you nothing. It was so funny to me. So then we get to, if you remember, old dude number 1, that's what we'll call him. Oh, I don't remember his name, don't make me lie. Old dude number 1 is the one who got clocked by Bodie. He in the hospital. He done cracked one of his vertebrae, okay? I think C6, if I'm not mistaken. Anyway, he says, listen, based on this, I'm getting out of here on retirement on medical. Yes, I get 66.67% of my pension. I'll have to give up that third. That's fine. But at least I get to retire, and I get that much of my pension, and I get to retire on medical leave. Great. He's talking about one of his relatives got some video shop, and he's going to start working for that. Now, we know in 2002, the video store chains were on the decline. But that's a whole nother story for a whole nother day. Anyway, he done got it all figured out. Now, he's trying to tell, Daniels tells him, well, before you put in the paperwork, why don't you think about this and make sure that that's really what you want to do. When Daniels walks out, he tells old guy number 2, the one that's supposed to be feeding all the information back to Major Rawls, he tells him, well, you might want to think about doing what I'm doing, getting out on leave, medical. We done been in this game long enough where you've earned it. And he said, when you go back to the office, just throw yourself down the stairs. You won't break nothing. Just throw yourself down the stairs. You'll crack a rib or two, and then you'll be good, and you can get out on medical leave like me. Those stairs can be real slippery. I was like, a mess. Just a damn mess. So then, Kima and McNulty, they, I talked about that, how they tried to hem up old dude about the 5 years by giving up people, and they told him no. And he told them no, y'all can give me the years, I don't give a shit. Bodie is in juvie, okay? all beat up and busted and disgusted, okay? Nobody, he finds out, and we see Method Man. Was that Method Man? I think that was Method Man. I don't remember now. Yeah, that was Method Man. Anyway, he tells him, because he asked Method Man, is anybody here from East Side, wherever he from? He was like, no, mostly DC boys. And he was like, oh shit, here we go. Long story short, Bodie escapes juvie. He acting like he mopping, gets to the front door, ain't nobody paying attention, ain't nobody giving this shit. All the boys there way younger than him. He ends up getting out of there and trying to um you know, get a ride back to Baltimore. So then, trying to hitchhike back to Baltimore. So as while he's outside on the side of the highway, coming down the highway to Juvie is Carver and Herc, Tweedledee and Tweedledum. They talking about they gonna go and hem up Bodie and get Bodie to get him all this information, and they gonna come out looking like, the heroes in this whole case and break the whole case. Come to find out, they rolling in there. They don't even see Bodie over there on the side of the road because they cannot even fathom that Bodie done escaped this juvenile detention center. A mess. Just a damn mess. McNulty's Sergeant Lansford, that's his name, I think, gets him to put a homicide case on D. They got this case and they say, listen, I got this case. They say it's about somebody named D. And, why don't you put this on your guy? Don't you got somebody named D on your detail? And McNulty was like, this don't have shit to do with my detail. He was like, listen, we doing you a whole lot of favors in this department. We letting you go out there and work on this detail. We doing all your extra work for you while you over there fucking off. You can give us this case. If you can make it make sense, the person on this case named D, your guy named D, McNulty, like, how many, people named D out in the street? I don't care. Make it make sense. You gonna take this one. Take it for the team. Like the team having to take a whole lot for you. So McNulty was like, all right. Bunk is working the case anyway. Bookmark this case. So McNulty says, no problem, I'll give y'all this solid. Bubbles is riding around with Kima, okay? He's telling Kima all about Omar and how he is the one that hit up the stash. Now Kima said, well, who's this Omar? Does he have a last name? He was like, nah, I don't know him. But I do know that's the brother of No Heart Anthony. And she was like, who's No Heart Anthony? And so Bubbles is like, you don't know who the fuck No Heart Anthony is? How the fuck am I helping you? Or where the fuck you been that you don't know who No Heart Anthony is? Because I guess everybody know who No Heart Anthony is. I guess if you got a name like No Heart, then everybody know who he is. Just like... horrible story. So just like me and my friends, we know a bunch of, because Anthony is a common name, so you had to have some way to distinguish him. So just like me and my friends, we got a bunch of friends named Twan. So we got a friend named Twan, two friends named Twan. One is Twan with the big dick. Well, both of them is Twan with the big dick. So when we say Twan, we be like, which Twan? Twan with the big dick? And then we say, yeah. And then we be like, which Twan with the big dick? And they be like, oh, Twan with the big dick and the big head. The short one. I'd be like, oh, okay. So that's kind of like the same thing as No Heart Anthony. Because you probably know a lot of Anthony. You'd be like, what Anthony? No Heart Anthony. Oh, okay. The one who tried to shoot himself in the chest. Yeah, that one. That was a horrible long way around getting to this whole thing. But y'all know I get sidetracked. Whatever. I thought it was a cute story. Twan with the big dick and the big head. You know who you is, Twan, if you watching. Hey. Anyway, a mess. Just a mess. Omar, then we cut away to Omar with his boyfriend. And the boyfriend, Omar, his boyfriend, and the other guy who works for Omar. Now, some chick comes up. This chick must be one of the chicks that commonly come to Omar trying to get him to give her some money. She got a baby. He give her some drugs, a couple dollars to keep making it through the week. And he got a soft heart for the community. That's what Omar does. Omar steals from the drug dealers and uses that to give back to the community. That's what he does. Great stuff. Now, the other dude is like, all right, I'm gonna get out of here. I got some stuff to do. But you can see he's really not as comfortable with Omar and Omar's homosexuality, but he tolerates it because of, what he gets on the back end. Now, Omar is open, upfront, and honest about his sexual orientation. He is openly intimate with his boyfriend where he kisses him, hugs him, loves on him in public. And I gotta say, well, bookmark that. We're gonna talk about that a little bit later, okay? Bookmark that. Avon is with his boys. They shooting ball. Him and all of his, the high-ranking members in the gang. He putting a hit out on Omar and the boyfriend. This much for the boyfriend, this much for Omar. More money if I can get the rap with that nigga before y'all take him out. So Avon didn't know Omar was gay. So then he was like, oh, for real? And so they tell him, yeah, everybody kind of knows that Omar is gay. So, of course, what comes out? The F-bomb. And for everything that Omar is, for the scary individual Omar is and ends up becoming for a drug dealer, like they all legitimately fear Omar because they know Omar is not to be fucked with. But at the end of the day, when these conversations happen, he ends up always being reduced to being gay, reduces him to simply the epithet of the F-bomb. And I equate that even to how black people are seen. No matter how menacing or scary a black person may be, or how successful a black person may be, or whatever a black person gets, in a lot of white circles, when whites are discussing black people, they are simply reduced to the epithet, the N-word. And we saw that play out here with the gay epithet with the F-bomb. And I just really, the way that resonated with me, that scene right there. But Avon put a hit out on Omar and the boyfriend. And what he really wants to get the boyfriend so that Omar can feel the sting of that. Next, we see McNulty goes to see his son go play soccer. Now, McNulty is driving around Bubbles because Kima had to go to class, and Bubbles was driving around with Kima. So she met up with McNulty, said, listen, can you drop him back downtown? Because I don't got that kind of time. I got to make it back to class. So he was like, all right. So Bubbles is with him. Now, I'm sure that when his ex-wife saw this crackhead-ass Bubbles get out the car, she was like, oh, God, what the fuck is this bullshit? But he goes there. She was like, you late. He didn't think you was going to even come. And they have this back and forth. You could just really see that he can't stand her and she can't stand him. And they can't come to terms on visitations and everything that they need to do for their son. I mean, and it sucks for the child. Always sucks for the child. Bodie done made it back to the courtyard, right? Okay? So Wallace and Poot is like, how the fuck are you here so quick? Like, should you still be in jail? He like, nah. That's just, boys' town, juvenile hall where they keep the boy. Them fools too young for me. They can't, they can't hold me. And so details Bodie, listen. That's because you was over there. If you was in a real jail, your ass would not be out here like this, okay? I was in real jail. And so Bodie tries to lessen what he did or make it seem like he wasn't, like he ain't really that gangster or that bad and ain't do shit. And D then tells them this story of this chick who Avon was messing with, who then started feeling herself, and because Avon wouldn't do what he want, Avon had other chicks on the side, she said, oh, I'm gonna go to the police and tell the police all I know about you in the drug game. And Avon went with that shit, and Avon told D to go take her out, and he went to the chick house. He told this story about how he tapped on the window, and it was at night, and she turned the light on, and she was naked, and he couldn't see. Because when you turn the light on the inside, you can't see who's on the outside. And he shot through the window and killed her. And he was telling the story to, up his credibility with Poot and Wallace and Bodie, because he was like, y'all need to ask somebody about me. Y'all only know about the one body I was in jail for. Y'all don't know about other bodies that I got on me. Now, Bodie really looked like he wasn't buying it, but we'll see. We're back to the bookmark. Remember, we said that Sergeant told McNulty to take this case about this homicide. Now, bookmark that. Deputy Burrell goes to see the judge, and the judge is talking to him about his campaign. He's going to run, I think, for the commissioner, the police commissioner, police chief. And he's talking about, different ways to raise funds, different organizations. Oh, I know the judge says, I know these people. I could talk to them for you and help you out. And it's just simply as a matter of asking the questions. And he was like, all right, appreciate it. He was like, while we're asking questions, let me ask you questions about this Barksdale case. And so the police was like, and so Burrell thinks, oh, okay, I got him. Now I got all of this stuff that they gave me from this raid. And the judge looks at it like this. That ain't shit. That ain't what I'm looking for. That ain't what I asked for. I need better than this. I need Barksdale. Hit on the fucking platter. Stop fucking playing with me. So he basically told him, that little bitty shit y'all doing right now is not enough. You know McNulty been in his ear. Anyway, Herc and Carver, disrespectful asses, go busting up in Bodie grandma apartment. Just disrespectful. I mean, they come in cussing and all kinds of shit, running through this lady house, and she's sitting there so unbothered. And they busting in there talking about, oh, we gonna fuck you up if you in here. This, that, and the third. I mean, just so disrespectful to this old lady. So Carver just leaves them, rolls up out of there. Herc stays and talks to the lady and apologizes to her for how they came in there, just disrespectful. She tells them the story of, she gives us the background information of Bodie, whose name is Preston. But Bodie's mom died when he was 4, and that's how he ended up with his grandma. And he's been an angry child since then, and you can probably imagine how the death of your mom could probably affect you. And it seemed like she was on that shit, and that's how she died. I mean, it is what it is. Back at the office, the judge calls McNulty, but McNulty is like, I'll call you back. And that's where it goes from there. Bookmark that. Sergeant Langsford, who's Bodie's, not Bodie, dear God, who's McNulty's sergeant, goes to Major Rawls, the major, says, listen, I know you don't see it for McNulty. And he gives this long, drawn out, awful mental picture invoking story about jacking off, holding a beer, and thinking about McNulty. Dear Lord, with his 4.5-inch penis as he described to us. Just disgusting. Anyway, he basically is there advocating for McNulty. Listen, you need to help out McNulty. McNulty, he's not a bad guy. He done helped me out. This, that, and the third. You need to really reconsider how you feel about him. He said, listen, tell McNulty, go over there, do what the fuck you got to do for 2 weeks. Get the hell out of this detail. Come on back, and I'll give you a clean slate. We'll see how that goes. McNulty then, we see him outside away from the office at the payphone, calls the judge. And now he's willing to talk to the judge about everything that's going on. We see at this point, he doesn't trust Daniels at all. And that's probably based on the information the FBI gave him. But he doesn't feel comfortable talking to the judge around his fellow cops, because he knows that how everybody feels about him and his relationship with the judge. Y'all, I'm sorry, y'all. I got a lot of notes. I still got like 4 pages of notes. Dear God, Kima is still doing her homework, and we see her at home with her girlfriend. They have a lesbian moment, okay? Now, I love that they're showing these moments, and I've told you to bookmark this situation that we would talk about Omar and his boyfriend and the fact that they kissed and were intimate outside, just nearly really just outside on the block. Kima is at home with her lesbian lover and they are intimate. And you got to think this is 2002. And while Will and Grace had been out at that point and shows like Queer as Folk, those were white shows. And even if they did by happenstance have a black person on it, and this was even before Noah's Ark, you damn sure ain't have a person of color or a black person or any person of color with another person of color of the same sex showing that amount of intimacy on any television program. It was not happening. So it was like unthinkable at that time. And so it was kind of groundbreaking that The Wire was giving you these moments, and these people who they were showing you were not the stereotypical. I mean, some people may argue that Kima was kind of stereotypical lesbian, but she still was feminine. And even in her portrayal with the girlfriend, there are times where you feel like the girlfriend is the more dominant. I'm not going to say top, but the more dominant than Kima, who does come off harsh when she's at work. But with Omar, he is the antithesis of the stereotypical gay. But he's so openly honest and with his intimacy with his lover. And this was unthinkable back then. And this goes to show how groundbreaking, how great the show was. In addition to the outstanding writing and phenomenal writing, you had these moments that was changing the game for television programming. And it was great. Burrell then meets up with Daniels. Daniels is like, listen, the case ain't going nowhere. Burrell was like, well, what you need? Daniels said, well, McNulty says, because this is after Burrell done talked to the judge, and the judge done gave him the riot act to say, y'all need to do better. He said, what you need? Daniels says, well, McNulty says we need a wire. That's why it's called The Wire. So Burrell says, do you think so? And it cuts from there. Then we get back down to the low rises. They're throwing rocks at the surveillance camera that they don't put up in the low rises. Now, why am I talking about this? Because that scene where you see the POV view where you're looking out of the surveillance camera at Bodie and the boys throwing the rock and breaking the glass of the surveillance camera, that scene is going to come up in a subsequent season, and you're going to see it over and over and over. So I wanted to spotlight that moment because this is a moment I wanted to make sure in my review I talked about this moment, because this is a moment when we go back some seasons from now where you're going to see that one scene right there where they're throwing the rock and cracking the screen of the surveillance picture in the low rises. The great writing here, they always point back to stuff before. So that's why a lot of times you'll hear me in my reviews say, remember this, remember that, because this stuff comes back up. So then we got Freeman down to the low rises as well, doing real detective work. Freeman, remember he was writing down numbers when they were doing the raid. He was writing down numbers that he saw on the wall. So he calls one of the numbers on his cell phone. It ends up being the pager for D. D goes to the payphone. D number calls Freeman's number. He doesn't see Freeman in the squad car. Not the squad car, but the unmarked car. And Freeman is like, gotcha. Freeman takes a picture and everything so he could take that back. So now they know that that is D's number. I mean, his pager number, I should say. His pager number. So then after that, and that D also uses the payphones in order to make his calls. I think my lighting went out, but I'm gonna finish regardless with no light. Y'all don't need no light to see me. Y'all know what I look like. Anyway, McNulty tells Kima who No Heart Anthony is. He gives her the whole backstory with him. Kima tells McNulty that's Omar's brother, according to Bubbles. And they talk about how they need to go pick up Omar, because if Omar knows what the stash house is, Omar also knows a lot more information. Then we see the other old dude who's preparing and positioning himself to throw himself down the stairs, like it was suggested this is old dude number 2. Just as he's about to go, Kima and McNulty open the door to the stairwell. Just a mess. He tries to play it off. Just a damn mess. Then we have Daniels, who meets up with his whole detail, and they discuss a whole lot of stuff. They discuss the fact that about cloning the pages and so forth and so on, and how they got all the information that they need in order to get the judge to agree to that. So Daniel say, well, do you have the number? And McNulty's looking like, no. Freeman says, up. And Freeman has the number. And Freeman gives them this, the number, and tells them, listen, you also need to subpoena and ping all of the payphones in that area, because that's how they communicate. Put a bookmark in that for future episodes. Bunk and McNulty meet up. Now, Bunk and McNulty, they talk about Freeman and how Freeman ain't to be fucked with. Freeman is the guy who, he was in homicide. He was in homicide for a while. He's an old school great policeman. He does great police work. He ain't nothing to be fucked off with. So McNulty says, I'll go talk to him, because I need to get some information out of him, apparently, because obviously he's pretty good if he was able to get that pager number. They go in to do the real work on this case, because apparently whoever did it before ain't do a good job. Listen, this scene right here is so beautifully written, and I think they only use 2 words. When they go in here to break down how this murder took place, which happens to be the same murder case that Dee told Wallace, Poot, and Bodie. Same girl, same case. Happened to be the case that the sergeant told McNulty, no, I need you to take this case. I don't care how you feel. The one that McNulty said don't have nothing to do with his case. Hello. Great writing here. So let me break this down. You have Bunk and McNulty who break down and figure out all of how the murder actually took place. They used 2 words, fuck and motherfucker, and had an entire conversation. A whole scene and conversation was had, and you knew what they were saying, and all they said was fuck and motherfucker. And so much was said, and so much was broke down through that whole scene. It was so great, so beautiful. Another great scene, just as great as the scene last episode with the chess board. This scene is just as great. Let me tell you. Beautiful shit here. Beautiful shit here. Anyway, McNulty goes back to the office and asks Freeman why he isn't in homicide. Freeman says, you got time? Because I got time. Let's go have some drinks. So they go have drinks, and Freeman tells him the story of how he ended up where he was and what they call the pawn division, which is basically in the police force, it's just a desk job, which is something he didn't want to do. The story of Freeman is a cautionary tale for McNulty, because everything that McNulty is doing right now, Freeman did before. So Freeman was McNulty before McNulty. Okay? And Freeman is telling him this cautionary tale. Problem is, I think the train has already left the station, and it's too late to call the train back. But that's a whole nother story. Finally, we end with a drunk ass McNulty goes up to Kima's house to try, drunk and lonely ass McNulty. And I think this is what McNulty has done in the past, because this might have worked. Drunk, lonely ass McNulty might have been able to roll up on a female officer and say, hey, I'm drunk, da 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 da, and bang her guts in and blow her back out. But Akima is a whole ass lesbian, and her girlfriend answers the door and is like, can I help you? Oh, is Kima here? Mm-hmm. He ain't want shit. So Kima was like, all right, we're going on home. I'm good. You good? Good. He was like, well, I just wanted to thank you for the night. Oh, I bet you did just want to thank her for the night. Take your drunk ass on home. Kima ends up laying up with her girlfriend and has another intimate moment. And we already discussed the importance of these intimate moments with LGBTQ plus black people. great stuff. And that was the whole episode, y'all. I hope y'all are enjoying these retro reviews. Listen, it takes a lot out of me because I have so much notes, but it's so enjoyable going back through these. Y'all get down in the comments with me. Let me know how y'all feel. Let me know if I got it right, wrong, or whatever. I'll see y'all in the comment section. Until next time, I'm out.